Welcome to Sunshine in Square Feet.
Thanks for having me.
Today, we were looking at a submitted guide covering the financial realities and unwritten lifestyle rules of moving to the Villages, Florida. Integrating the financial breakdowns with the lifestyle realities will create a much more comprehensive and engaging guide for prospective movers.
Yeah, that is honestly the perfect place to start for this critique. I mean, looking at the submitted material, you can tell right away there's an incredibly strong foundational knowledge of both the area's costs and its culture.
Right, the author really knows their stuff.
Oh, absolutely. They know the exact utility rates, the maintenance fees, and, all the social expectations, too. But, as it stands right now, reading it feels a bit like reading two disjointed manuals.
Two completely different books almost.
Exactly. You have this one section at the beginning that acts like a pure accountant's ledger, just a dry spreadsheet of expenses. And then, way later on, you get to the lifestyle quirks, almost like a social survival guide.
Yeah, and that's exactly the weakness here. The material treats the literal cost of living, like your electric bills and your lawn care, and then the lifestyle quirks like the stringent community standards and the guest access as entirely separate conversations.
And they really aren't separate, right?
Not at all. This disconnect just leaves the reader hanging. It forces them to figure out on their own how the financial obligations directly tie into those lifestyle expectations.
Which is a huge missed opportunity. I mean, you're asking the reader to build this complex conceptual bridge entirely by themselves. Like, if you were just scanning a list and you see, I don't know, a line item for lawn care.
You might just think you can skip it.
Right. You'd think, oh, I'll just mow it myself, save a few bucks. But in a place with such a highly curated aesthetic, that isn't really an option.
So the suggestion here would be to blend the expense data directly into the lifestyle segments, right? To show the true daily cost of maintaining the community's highly curated aesthetic.
Yes, exactly. You have to contextualize those numbers. So, for concrete examples, let's look at the Community Watch. The guide discusses how strict and complaint-driven the Community Watch is, right?
Yeah, where neighbors can basically anonymously report you.
Exactly. So the author should explicitly tie that cultural fact to the necessity of budgeting about $1,200 a year for professional lawn care services, just to maintain those neighborhood standards.
So you pair the $1,200 cost directly with the fear of being reported.
Yeah. It becomes social insurance. You aren't just paying for grass cutting. You're paying to avoid friction with your neighbors.
But wait, does linking the financial costs directly to the lifestyle restrictions risk making the community sound overly negative?
Honestly, not if it is framed as transparency. I mean, buyers appreciate knowing exactly what their money is doing. Like, take the guest passes, for example.
Oh, right. The rule where friends living outside the community can't easily get access to the recreation centers?
Yeah. The guide treats that as a standalone frustration, but the author should clearly state right in that same paragraph that the amenity fee is $204 a month.
Wait, exactly $204?
Yep, $204 a month. This exact figure helps readers understand what they are paying for and why guest rules are so strict. When you put the dollar amount next to the rule, it doesn't seem arbitrary anymore.
Yeah, because they're funding this highly exclusive experience out of their own pockets. If someone isn't paying that $204 a month, residents don't want them using the pool.
Exactly. It completely changes the tone from here's a mean rule to here's what your investment protects.
That makes total sense. Now moving on to another big part of the guide. Highlighting specific infrastructure limitations will better prepare readers for the daily practicalities of navigating this massive community.
Oh, navigating that place is a huge part of the lifestyle. It's essentially its own city.
It really is, but the weakness in this section is that the text points out several major logistical challenges, like the multimodal paths lacking directional signs, and the outdoor courts lacking lights. Oh, and the limited public transit.
Right. They list all these issues.
Yeah, but it glosses over how a resident should practically handle these daily issues. It just kind of drops the problem in the reader's lap and moves on.
Which just feels like complaining. Like, hey, watch out for this pothole, but not telling you how to drive around it. It can leave the reader feeling a bit stranded.
So the suggestion is to provide concrete workarounds, right? And clarify the direct lifestyle implications for these infrastructure gaps.
Absolutely. You want the author to be a guide, not just a critic. So let's talk concrete examples. You mentioned the multimodal paths lack north, south, east, or west signage.
Yeah, which sounds terrifying if you're a new resident driving a golf cart around all those roundabouts.
Totally. So the author should suggest that residents identify major landmarks like the polo fields to avoid getting lost on the roundabouts. Give them a visual anchor.
But since the author mentions getting lost on the multimodal path so often, shouldn't they also provide a specific solution, like a map recommendation?
Yes, absolutely. Recommending a specific golf cart GPS app or mapping strategy would turn a simple complaint into highly actionable advice for new residents. The polo fields are great for visual cues, but giving them an actual app to download solves the problem before they even arrive.
Right, it makes the guide actively useful. And what about the outdoor court lighting? That was another big gap they mentioned.
Right, a lack of evening court lighting. For a community that is so heavily focused on sports, that's a big deal. The author needs to explicitly note that residents who enjoy pickleball or tennis must shift their daily schedules to play before sunset during the winter.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because if you're moving from Ohio, you might be used to playing it like 8 p.m. under stadium lights.
Exactly. And down there, if there are no lights on those courts, your entire daily routine has to change in December. The author needs to point out that specific lifestyle implication.
And another huge implication is the transit situation. Like, address the misconception of a purely car-free lifestyle.
Yes, this is so important. People think they can just sell their car and buy a golf cart and never look back.
Right, the ultimate retirement dream. But the guide needs to clarify that while golf carts are heavily used, a car or a rideshare budget is still necessary for out-of-bubble errands and for connecting to transit like the Brightline train in Orlando.
Which is like an hour away, right? You can't take a golf cart on the highway to Orlando. So reminding readers they need an Uber budget or a personal vehicle is a crucial reality check. Just giving them that concrete workaround makes the guide so much stronger.
These are great examples of making those observations actionable. Okay, let's shift gears to the housing section. Framing the real estate options around specific loan restrictions offers a highly valuable strategy for veterans and first-time buyers.
This is probably the most critical piece of structural feedback for this whole submission. It really impacts a buyer's actual ability to purchase a home.
Yeah, because right now, the weakness is that the material briefly mentions that VA and FHA loans cannot be used on new construction homes, but it buries this crucial detail at the very end.
It's basically a footnote.
Right. Instead of using it to proactively guide the home search process, it just tacks it on at the end. Imagine reading all about these beautiful new houses, picking out your favorite models in your head.
And then on the last page, you find out your loan won't even let you buy one.
Exactly. It's setting the reader up for total heartbreak. So the suggestion is to elevate this loan restriction to the front of the real estate section, framing it as a critical first step in deciding which part of the community a buyer should target.
Yeah, turn that financial constraint into a map, a geographic filtering tool right out of the gate.
So for concrete examples, the author should instruct VA and FHA buyers to immediately filter their search exclusively to resale homes or MLS listings.
Put it in bold right at the start. Tell them your search begins and ends with the resale market if you have this type of loan.
And they can use the contrast between the established northern areas and the newer southern areas to explain this, right?
Oh, definitely. Tell veterans that because they cannot finance new builds, they should focus their search on the northern neighborhoods with mature trees rather than the newer southern areas near the turnpike.
I love how that frames it. It takes a restriction and turns it into a positive direction. Like, hey, go check out the nice trees up north.
Exactly. It guides them toward an established, beautiful area while setting the right financial boundaries from day one.
But I have to ask, is it necessary to dedicate a large portion of the guide to VA and FHA loan restrictions if the main focus is general lifestyle tips? I mean, shouldn't they just focus on golf and restaurants?
Absolutely. Because realizing you cannot use a VA loan on a new construction home fundamentally changes where a veteran can live, pushing their search entirely away from the newer southern developments. And, where you live dictates your entire lifestyle.
Oh, that's true. It dictates which town square you hang out in, which pool you use.
Right. The finance dictates the geography, and the geography dictates the lifestyle. You just can't separate them. And there's another financial layer to the new versus resale decision that the author needs to highlight earlier, too.
Are you talking about the flood insurance thing?
Yes, the 2-year flood insurance requirement for newer areas. The guide explains that developers build up the land in flood zone X to make it safe, right?
Yeah, but FEMA takes forever to update their official maps.
Exactly, up to 2 years for the bureaucracy to catch up. And because of that map delay, banks force buyers of brand new homes to carry flood insurance.
So the author needs to explicitly explain that this adds about $500 to $600 a year to the cost of a new build for those first 2 years.
Right, which adds another financial layer to the new versus resale decision. When you tell a buyer they have to eat an extra $500 or $600 a year just because of a government map delay, a resale home up north suddenly looks even better.
It just proves why leading with the money is so powerful. It really establishes the author as an insider who knows how things actually work.
Yeah, it takes the guy from being just a list of facts to being an essential roadmap. It's just a matter of structural reorganization.
Well, that seems like a good place to wrap up the critique. Do you want to give a quick rundown of what we covered?
Sure. To briefly recap the main actionable suggestions for the listener. First, try merging the financial data directly with the lifestyle expectations. Let buyers know exactly what that $204 amenity fee covers and why lawn maintenance is a non-negotiable budget item. Second, make sure to offer practical solutions for those infrastructure gaps, like suggesting a golf cart GPS app or explaining how to adjust winter tennis schedules. And finally, use those VA and FHA loan restrictions to map out the real estate search right from the start. We'd love to see how you adapt the material, so please feel free to submit your revised guide back to the show for further review.
Thank you for listening to The Sunshine and Square Feet, and see you on the next episode.